Hallowed Hearts made a big splash on the post-punk scene when they released their debut album Into the Fire in late July, and then followed that up with a really great live stream quarantine performance on Martin Oldgoth's Twitch channel, which left people talking about them for weeks afterwards. Now all the DJs all over the world are playing them, and we all love them. And they're definitely one of the most frequently played bands on this show. So I'm very pleased and excited to welcome Alex and Andrew from Hallowed Hearts to New Music Mondays. Hi, guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. It's about time we got you on here. Thank you so much.
No, thanks for having us.
Yeah, for sure. Really enjoy the album, obviously, and really appreciated hanging out with you guys in the chat rooms and the live streams in the last few months. You know, I've noticed that you guys have been in there quite a bit, and it's been really nice having such a direct connection with the band that, you know, the bands that we're listening to, and really appreciate you guys like participating with the audience in that way. It's been awesome.
It's been a lot of fun, actually. I spent a lot of time on Twitch. You can ask Andrew. I spent a lot of time on Twitch. Yeah. It keeps me sane, all the music, and that's how I get to hear all these new bands that are coming out right now, too. So
there's no clubs right now, so, you know.
No clubs, so this is what we got, and I'm pretty thankful for it.
Yeah, I think we all are, and there's several blessings in disguise about our scene moving online. It's definitely made you know, the world a lot smaller of a place, and our subculture in the dark music scene a lot more intimate, and we get to interact more directly with artists like yourselves. So I think that that's really been great, and I hope that we can find a way to continue that, you know, after the pandemic is over. Let's talk about the history of Hallowed Hearts. It's not a long history, of course. You just put out your first album just a few months ago. How did the two of you meet, and how did you decide to form a band?
You want to take this one, Andrew?
Yeah, I'll take this. It's funny. I've known Alex for a long time, and I've always wanted to do something more guitar oriented, and I always would joke with him if we were having a beer somewhere, like, we should just do a goth rock project. Like, come on, let's just go ahead and do it. So we finally got off of our proverbial asses and did the thing. And I started writing demos. You know, one of the first ones was actually Lost. And, you know, I wasn't sure if this would work and whether he was sort of vibing on what I was thinking, but, you know, I sent him a bunch of demos, and things really kind of came together. And so, you know, it became clear that, you know, we had enough in us to really get this going. So specifically over the last year or so, we put together the demos that turned into the Fire. And, you know, I sort of bring my perspective to it. You know, I'm not sort of a traditional goth like he is perhaps, but I bring a lot of sort of old school. I'm thinking, you know, Echo and the Bunnymen, old U2, that kind of thing. And Alex is obviously more, you know, in a different realm.
Just a little bit. Well, same realm, but I bring a little bit more. Something different.
So yeah, and you know, so I think this, like, for both of us now is kind of becoming our main thing. So you know, we're in the groove, we're working on new stuff, and that's the history so far.
Yeah. So you guys have been friends for a while. Do you remember how you originally met?
Yeah, actually, we met in Austin back in, I believe it was 2002. I think it was, and it was just through mutual friends, because it was like 2000. No, I think it was 2003 actually. 2003 is when we met. We had a bunch of mutual friends, and he was doing the Diffusion Records label still, with, you know, Brad and a couple other people from different bands, and we all kind of hung out in the same circles, so we just kind of met, and all of us kind of just clicked and hit it off. And there was probably a good 4 years before Andrew moved away from Austin that we were all together probably 5 nights of the week, 5, 6 nights of the week.
There's a really great goth club in Austin called Elysium, which was sort of the center of the scene and continues to be. John's making it go. Even through COVID, they just had a GoFundMe, and that was really, I think, the center of a lot of our lives at the time. And that's where I, became friends with Alex and so many other people in the Texas scene.
Yeah, sure. Did you both grow up in Texas?
Oh, no. I'm originally from upstate New York, actually. So it's sort of the circle of life for me to be back in New York now. And Alex is sort of a German originally.
Yeah, actually, I'm originally from Germany, and I moved to the U.S. in '91. Moved from Germany to Oklahoma, and then from Oklahoma to Texas, and there I was for a good 19 years, and now I'm up here in lovely Connecticut.
Funny that you said that. So yeah, since we're going back in time here, let's go even further back. Alex, let's start with you. When did you very first start playing music?
Very first, I think,
like when you were a kid,
was
did you have music lessons or?
I never had music lessons. I think when I was like 9 or 10 years old, because my mother always heard me blasting music out of my room, she decided for her birthday to buy me a keyboard. And I just tinker away on that. And then, in my teenage years, I had a bunch of friends that were, starting bands, doing this, doing that. So I never quite had the courage to join a band, yet alone play or try to sing in a band. So I would just hang out with them at rehearsals, and I'd play and I'd jam out a little bit and try to learn some things and pick up some things here and there. But I didn't actually start playing music like full on until much later. Probably it was like, I was about 23 when I joined my first band. So.
And so you started tinkering around when you were 10. If we could ask your 10-year-old self what your favorite band is, what would he say?
Oh my God. 10 years old, my favorite band, and it was a favorite song. It was the first song I ever learned how to play. 10 years old, it would have been U2. And the first song I ever learned how to play was Pride in the Name of Love.
Ooh, nice one.
And I taught myself how to play that just by constantly listening to it over and over again and figuring out every single note and then eventually getting comfortable with it.
Right. Amazing. Andrew, what about you? When did you first pick up an instrument?
Pretty early. I actually, believe it or not, when I was little, my grandfather at the time had an organ in the house. So I started messing around with it and making a lot of noise. And he was eventually like, you need to take lessons. So for a very brief period of time, I was an organist at a church down the street because I was taking lessons from a church organist there. But of course, it's sort of atheist me now, it would explode in fire being in the church. But that really set the tone for learning keyboards. And that was my main instrument for many years. I then discovered the internet and IRC back in the late 90s, got into the demo scene for a while, and, sort of drifted around, late 90s into just all kinds of computer music in general, and then sort of evolved from there into my various projects that I've worked on.
Well, you say that you're not as much of a goth as Alex, but I can't think of a more gothic beginning to your music career than being a church organist. I think that's
I'm glad you said that. I was about to say the same thing.
So, Andrew, do you remember what your first record or tape or CD was that you bought like on your own?
The first one I do actually remember, it was Cargo by Men at Work.
Ooh, good
choice. Men at Work in the 80s. And, my early listening was a mixture of things my mom used to listen to, a lot of Police, a lot of Fleetwood Mac, Genesis, old Genesis. I then sort of drifted into everything from, XTC to Public Enemy but for me, the real sort of record my jaw dropped was Depeche Mode Violator. I must have listened to that record, 1,000 times in a row, when it came out. And that for me was really sort of like, I think the most formative record for my particular musical style.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Great. So let's talk about some non-musical stuff. I know that, music obviously is at the center of both of your lives, but do you have time for, interests and hobbies outside of Hallowed Hearts?
Andrew?
Well, I did. Play a lot of video games and such, but now I have a 4-year-old, so my hobby is watching lots of Peppa Pig and shit. Possibly not imaginable, but I don't know. I mean, for me, music is just like it is my all-consuming hobby. Like I've displaced all other hobbies, at this point for music. It's just what I love to do. And I'll just do it as much as physically possible.
Well, you've been really successful. Our viewers may or may not know that you are half of Iris, which is a synth project that I love. You've got a number of albums out. I've made people dance on dance floors here in the Bay Area to Iris songs many times. So really appreciate what you've done with your career.
Yeah, thanks. I think with Iris is sort of the synthy side of me. Anyone that's sort of followed Iris over the years, sort of the band's evolved a bit. More guitars kind of came in. It all got a little darker. But sort of Hallowed Hearts is the flip side where, there's synth in it, but it's more guitar focused. It's more rock focused. It's sort of like the inverse, of what Iris was, yet still within my particular sphere of musical taste, if that makes any sense.
Right, for sure. Alex, tell us about some of the bands that you've been in before. Were they all in Texas? I know Provision was in Texas. You were also in Control and Exit. Tell us about those.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much everything I was involved in pretty much was all Texas. I moved to Texas when I was 21. And that's kind of where it really started for me. I mean, I've always been very active since I was 15, going to clubs, sneaking into clubs, getting to know an owner. And they're like, okay, if the cops show up, I'll hide you over here. It'll be fine. But it wasn't until I moved to Austin is when it really, really started for me.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
what an amazing age to move to Austin when you're 21. That's just such a great town for music. I started visiting Austin right after that movie Slacker came out,
Yeah.
I'm so enamored with Austin. It was so much fun back then.
Yeah, Austin 99 is definitely much different than the Austin of today. The first 6 years of Austin were just, it just felt so cool and different. It was its own little world, and you had South by Southwest and all these other things that were just very more on the indie side and very do-it-yourself. And I mean, it didn't matter, like any given day of the week, you'd open like the Austin Chronicle and there's up to 300 live shows a night, different little areas. And it was cool, I mean, and they are still trying to keep it like that as much as possible, but times change and people move in from other areas and things, like I said, things change.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, gentrification is, it's happened, I think.
I wasn't going to say that, but yeah.
No, but it's what's happening. Austin's lost a lot of its iconic music venues. You see that happening in New York. You see that happening in San Francisco. You see that happening, I think, everywhere. And it's definitely, I think.
It's sad, and especially in this time right now, especially with with COVID and everything else that's going on, seeing all these venues that have been trying to hold on to whatever they can, you got to think about, it's not just like the smaller bands or musicians, not the big guys, but the small guys. It's not just them that are hurt though. It's like people say, well, get a job. Well, how about the guys whose job is working in a bar, working as in a live venue, as the sound tech, the lighting tech, the person that owns the venue, the staff. I mean, all these people, and it's been really hard. It's affected that genre really, really, really hard. And
yeah. I assume that you are probably participating on some level in the event Light It Black that Martin Olgoff is putting on.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, right before this, he actually has his birthday stream going right now. So right before we started this, I was wishing him a happy birthday, and he's having a good old time right now.
Good. Awesome.
Celebrating his 60th. So Happy birthday, Martin. Cheers to you.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, I'm sorry, Alex, I think that we kind of skipped over you with the question about interests and hobbies outside of music. What do you kind of?
Oh, that's funny. I love to travel. That's one of my, when it comes to a hobby or an interest, I guess my biggest thing is travel. Uh, One of my favorite cities to go to anywhere in the world is Paris. I've fallen in love with that city. I think that stemmed from back in the day. I was a big Highlander, the TV series fan. I was a big dork. I still love it to this day. So the first time we ever went there, me and my wife, she found this blog and of this super fan that went to all these spots where they filmed it in Paris, and then she ended up taking me to all these spots. And of course, me being the fanboy that I was, oh. But yeah, travel is a big thing. And like Andrew said, other than that, I like to play video games, but really for me, it's music. I mean, I love spending any kind of free time that I have. If I can come up with a couple sounds, if I can come up with a couple lyrics or sing another song in or something like that, it's like music just is it for me.
Mm-hmm. So when the pandemic is over and, other nations around the world open their doors to disease-ridden Americans again, where where would you like to travel to?
Ooh. Well, honestly, first things first, I definitely want to go back to Paris and go visit my friends, the bartenders over at the Black Dog, which is a metal bar in Paris, which is awesome. And also, I'm hoping that by next year, by Wave Gothic Toughen time, everything is open because my hotel is sitting there and it's ready for me, and I've skipped it long enough, and I'm ready for some big festivals again. I want to have a good time and just enjoy things.
Yeah, me too. Our reservations are definitely refundable, but we've got reservations as well. So we're really hoping to get together with all the folks that we've been getting to know all over the world.
Definitely.
At WGT. That'll be really fun. Great. Well, let's talk about anything else that you have coming up in the future that you'd like people to know about. Do you have any live streams coming up? Are you working on new material? What does the future look like for you guys?
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Andrew. You go.
No, I'll just say we are definitely working on new stuff. We would like to, and we'll see if we can get it done, but we're trying to get a new EP out before the end of the year. And given that clubs aren't really a thing anytime soon, we'll probably couple that with some sort of another live stream. I think the last one went really well, even though I had never done a live stream from my, studio before, and it worked. So, we're trying to work on that. Obviously, the creative muse comes and goes, but we're really pushing to try to get some new stuff out. So look for some new stuff before the end of the year. And then obviously, look for, I think probably another full length next year.
Definitely, that's the plan.
And at least one more live stream, at some point soon.
Okay, awesome. That's all stuff to look forward to and be excited about. Everyone watching on Twitch will have all of the links that you need to follow Hallowed Hearts in the chat room. If you're watching this interview on YouTube, look for the links in the description below the video. And if you're listening to the recording on Mixcloud, also look for the links below the recording. Andrew and Alex from Hallowed Hearts, thank you so much for joining us on New Music Mondays. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. We had fun. Thanks for having us.
All right.
Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers. This is the video for Shatter from Hallowed Hearts. You're watching New Music Mondays.
Hi everyone, hope you liked that video. If so, please like and subscribe to receive notifications when we upload more content. New Music Mondays is a live stream show every Monday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. on twitch.tv/DavyBonesOakland. It features myself and a weekly guest DJ spinning new releases in the world of dark music, post-punk, goth, dark wave, as well as interviews with the people that make the music happen. So it's a lot of fun. Make sure to join us live. Again, that's every Monday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., or actually about 9:30 Pacific time. The audio will always be uploaded the next day to my Mixcloud page, mixcloud.com/DavyBonesOakland. And thanks for watching the video on YouTube. The interviews will all be uploaded to the YouTube channel, as well as an occasional kind of behind the scenes video as well. All right. Thanks again.